back here. Welcome to the part 2 of our big endgame comparison test to see which add-ons can outdo the others. Let's get started with test number 3. All right, this test might be a little bit unfair. And I don't know necessarily that we're going to grade it, but we'll take a look and maybe there's a way we can determine a winner. There's actually roughly 9 different machines through all the add-ons that we're going to look at. There are a couple of add-ons that we didn't because the resource harvesting is slow, so painfully slow it wasn't worth comparing. But we're going to look at specifically for these 2 quarries. So we're going to look at infinity expansions, 4 different quarries, right? Now there is a oscillator that can be added that through a formula can increase that particular output. For example, the diamond oscillator, it isn't necessarily a 50% chance of getting diamonds because there's an initial test that says either give cobble or give the oscillator item. So it's a 50-50 chance of getting to that point. But if it doesn't choose the cobble, then it's a 50-50 chance of either the oscillator or the loot table. So realistically, it's actually a 25% chance to get diamonds, but it's still better than the loot table. All right. You can also configure whether or not nether materials can be harvested in the overworld and the speed that they run at. So let's get this out of the way and let's drop a regulator and let's fire these up. So the quarries all produce at the same rate. The basic gives 1, the advanced gives 2, the void gives 6, and the infinity gives 64 of the item that happens to come up. So the quarries produce approximately every 10 seconds. So take those, those numbers. So in this case, it takes 10 seconds. After 1 minute, you have 6 items. After 60 minutes, you have 360. We're down here. You're producing 64 per stack every 10 seconds. So you're doing it 384 per minute times 60. You're running right in the neighborhood of around 23,000 items per hour. Pretty impressive. All right. As a matter of fact, I want to put that down about, because we're not doing exact math on camera, 23K per hour. All right. Ooh, I fired up a quarry. Okay, no big deal. Now, these quarries are a little bit different, right? These have a loot table of ores. Diamond, emerald, gold, iron, redstone, lapis, netherite, quartz. So the main core ores. These run a little bit differently. The stone quarry is stone or cobblestone. But here's what's kind of cool about these, is these produce a lot faster. As you can see, instead of every 10 seconds, it's approximately every second. Oh, it looks like it's every second. I'm not 100% sure it is. I think it is. I don't have a stopwatch to test it. But that means we're getting, compared to the basic quarry, we're getting 10 times as much. We're getting 5 touches times as much as the advanced quarry and 1 2/3 times as much as the void quarry. So even though that might yield 6, this only yielded 1 per time. It fires 10 times in the same amount of time the other quarries fire. So, granted though, we don't necessarily want stone or cobble, right? And so let's fire up the rest of these. All right, so now we're talking about getting into the next one here, which is the coal quarry. So you can see this one, and this one thing I love about this one is it has the option to get snow. But now also, I'm sorry, that might be, I got 2 quarries on the same chest here. Let's pull these up. Let's get back over to Supreme. Let's pull up the quarries. Let's see, machines, page 2. Okay, so the coal quarry, for me, the big thing that stands out here, like I said, is the snowball. The iron quarry for me also would be the ice. So I've got both of these going into the chest. They're still pulling at the same rate, 1 per second. So again, from a resource standpoint, they beat the basic, the advanced, and the void, which really sounds funny. But the price to craft in the beginning isn't too bad. Now the inductive machines, a little bit of work, but they're not painful. Coal generator, programmable mind, Android, these aren't super painful yet. All right, but now we start moving up a little bit. Okay, now we've got a couple of cores, large energy, a geominer. Okay, now we get up to the iron quarry, 2 more cores, plus the stainless machine. So now these are starting to get a little bit pricier. But infinity expansion isn't much cheaper, right? Especially once you get to the void, because now you're talking about, voiding a switch. If you don't have the deep end stuff, that takes a while to get. So while it's not painful to craft, it's painful to wait for the materials. As these continue to climb up, so we get up to the Supreme Nugget Quarry, right? Talk about pain. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 2 more Centris Lutum, 8, 12 cores, plus the Thornium Quarry, which has a lot of extra cores in there already, plus the crystallizer machines. I mean, we're talking some pretty pricey stuff here. But again, when you get all the way up to the Supreme, it's the same thing. But look at the yields now. They're blocks. So, is the Supreme top-notch Quarry, even though it has a couple of items that Infinity Expansion doesn't, is it better than an Infinity Quarry? So you get 64 every 10 seconds. Here, let's say I drew all emeralds for all 10 seconds. If I were to draw an emeralds or an ore, whichever one, that means I'm getting 90 versus 64. Both are very painful and time-consuming to craft. In my mind, Supreme wins. Let's go to test number 4. All right, this test has actually a number of add-ons that could have been tested in here. So for sure, Supreme has the tech generator, Dynatech has the growth chambers, Cultivation has a cloche. I'm probably spelling or pronouncing it wrong. Now, I thought about bringing in Gastronomicon and Neviopoiesis. I didn't because the harvest rates from what I've been able to test it weren't comparable enough to bring them into the play. I love the add-ons, don't get me wrong, actually, and I was able to figure them out. Didn't take me too long to figure out how to get it to work. But from what I can see, the harvest rate wasn't comparable enough to do in this test. And so we're going to take those out. So we're going to put Supreme up against Dynatech, against Cultivation, and see what we get. So let's start with, and we really do need to dive into this, a tech generator on its own with no additional help. Give me that. With no additional help, takes 30 minutes to generate. The material hive is a 1-minute cycle. The apiary is a 60-minute cycle also. If I remember, no, I'm sorry, material hive is a 30-minute. My apologies. Let me back up. Okay. Tech generator is 30 minutes. Material hive is 30 minutes. Apiary starts at 1 minute. So different cycles to begin, right? So let's see. Let's place this here. I don't know what happened. Apparently I forgot to drop an infinity panel here to make sure this stayed up powered. All right. Let's just drop it back here. Get out of my way. All right. Let's fire up the tech generator. Okay, so we're going to make diamonds. It's going to be 30 minutes. Material hive. It's going to be 30 minutes. Now, the difference is the tech generator is going to give me a stack. Dynatech, if I'm on the right version, and this is the problem, I'm on 1.20.1, so I'm on version 201. Let's see, so material hive. Yep, so 64 gives you 1. Now I know there are some servers that are running an older version that there was a bug in there that actually is giving you 64. So on the first surface, straight up, obviously the tech generator is better than material hive. But what about the apiaries? Okay, so the apiary, right, here we go, 1 minute to produce. So it produces a diamond. So let's compare that. After 1 minute, 1 diamond, so 30 minutes, 30 diamonds. Oh, and I just destroyed my apiary. That was bad. Let's do that again. And you can keep your diamonds once that was yours. Thank you. 30 minutes to get 30 diamonds. 30 minutes to get 1 diamond. 30 minutes to get 64 diamonds. So on the beginning, starting point, Supreme wins. However, we have some things that might change this. For example, the material hive, okay, has the ability to use robotic bees. Now there are vanilla bees which you can capture, and that will reduce each one by 2 seconds. So if you've got a massive bee farm and you can gather 128 bees, That will take 256 seconds or 4 minutes 16 seconds off the time, dropping that down to 25 minutes and 44 seconds. If you have the basic robotic bees, each one drops 7 seconds off. So 7 times 128 is 896, so it roughly drops off the time in half. If you use the advanced robotic bees, it takes 10 seconds per bee. So 128 bees times 10 seconds will take off 13 minutes and 20 seconds. So that'll drop it down to 1640. So what'll happen, you'll see this going here, and your timer, while it looks like it's not going, the cycle's already started. So you have to wait for the cycle to complete, then the change will go into play. As far as the apiaries, it takes vanilla bees going in. Now the bees can take some sweet time to go in, but it can hold up to 3. It starts with 60 seconds. If you put in 1 bee, it'll drop it down to 30, 2 bees down to 20, 3 bees down to 10 seconds. So now you have multiplied the production by 6. You're making 180 bees in that same time frame. But here's where Supreme works to take the advantage. If we put in 32 efficient, 32 cloner, 32 robotic, and 32 lucky, ultimately in the end, Supreme will win because it'll produce 9 stacks every 78 seconds. You'll see the timer on this is significantly sped up. That's how you'll recognize that one. 9 stacks after all that time, but it will cost you months to get to that point. So what I would say is probably the apiary is the short-term winner. Long-term would be the tech generators. Well, it looks like our bee front is back. Anyways, guys, this is part 2 is done. Again, be watching for part 3 very soon. Hopefully we'll still be able to get it out yet today. If not, it'll be first thing in the morning. But anyways, as always, guys, when we're playing Slimefun, you've got to go boomer or you got to go home. We'll see you later.